Hello, and welcome to another episode of the official Mridangam podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Today, I have a very interesting, clever korve planned out. And similar to last week's episode, the selected korve is a trikalam korve, meaning that it is played in three nadis. In this case, the three nadis are Chatusram, Khandam, and Tisiram. And this korve is also in Aditalam. It seems like I've been doing all my patterns in Aditalam so far, but there will definitely be a wide variety of talams covered throughout this show. Anyway, let's get to today's korve. So, as usual, I will say the korve, then discuss the mathematical derivation behind the korve, and then finally play the korve. So, first I will say it, Rettakale Aditalam from Samam to Samam. So here's the korve. Tati kita takadinna tam. Tati kita tam. Tati kita tam. Tati kita tam. Tati kita takadinna tam. Tati kita tam. Tati kita tam. Tati kita tati. Tati kita tati takadinna tam. Tati kita daga. Tati kita daga. Tati kita da. Di ki ta tam. Tati kita tam. Tata kaditi. Kiki kita ta kadom dong gadati kita dom dati kita gadata kaditi kiki kita ta kadom dong gadati kita gom dati kita gadati kita takadinna ta tati kita tam tati kita tam tati kita tam tati kita takadinna ta tati kita tam tati kita tam tati kita gadati tati kita tati takadinna ta tati kita daga tati kita da di ki ta dom tati kita tam ta kadi di kiki kita ta kadom dong tati kita dom tati kita ta kadi di kiki kita ta kadom dong tati kita gom tati kita gadati kita ta kadinna ta tati kita tam tati kita tam tati kita tam tati kita ta kadinna ta tati kita tam tati kita tam tati kita gadati tati kita tati takadinna ta tati kita daga tati kita da di ki ta tom tati kita tom ta kadi ki ta kadong tati kita tom tati kita kataga kadi ki kita ga kadong tati kita gom tati kita tom tati kita tom. So there is the korve. Again, Chatusram, Khandam, and Tisiram. And although this is also a Trikala korve similar to last week's korve, this is very different for one main reason. In the last week's episode, which I encourage you to check out, there was, in the 3 rounds, one round was entirely Chatusram, the next round was entirely Tisiram, and then the next round after that was entirely the Chatusram male column. In this korve, the selected nades of choice, each one of them appears in one round of the korve. So it's not like there's only exclusively one nadi in one round. In one round of this korve, there's Chatusram, Khandam, and Tisiram. They're all covered. So, as promised, we'll go over the mathematical derivation. First, we'll start with the Purvangam, or the first part of the korve. In this Purvangam, I said 3 very similar strokes, and each of those strokes the first one was played in Chatusram, second one in Khandam, and lastly the third one was played in Tisiram. So the first stroke in Chatusram was tati kita takadinna tam tati kita tam tati kita tam tati kita tam tam. So this stroke turns out to be 8 beats in Chatusram. So that is the first stroke that we're using. The next stroke, which we happen to play in Khandam, but I'll say it in Chatusram first so you can get the idea. Tati kita takadinna tam tati kita tam tam tati kita tam tam tati kita tam tam. So as you might have noticed, we added 2 tas in the middle of that tati kita takadinna, and then instead of doing tati kita tam tati kita tam tati kita tam, it was tati kita tam tam tati kita tam tam tati kita tam. And that stroke, if played in Chatusram, is 10 beats. But of course, we played this stroke in Khandam in the korve. Tati kita takadinna tam tati kita tam tati kita tam tati kita tam. So if played in Khandam, this 10-beat phrase actually turns out to be an 8-beat phrase. That's just the nature of Khandam. A 10-beat stroke in Chatusram will be an 8-beat stroke in Khandam. So now we have created a stroke in Kandam that is equivalent to the previous stroke. And lastly, the third portion, the third sector of this Purvangam is, which I'll say in Chatusram first. Ta di tati kita ta di taka dinna ta tati kita tuntaga tati kita tuntaga tati kita tuntam. So we just use the same principle to build upon the foundation of the previous phrase. We did ta di tati kita ta di taka dinna, so we added another di in there, and then instead of doing tati kita tuntam tati kita tuntam tati kita tum, we're doing tati kita tuntaga tati kita tuntaga tati kita tum. So instead of 2 karves, we're using 4 karves. So because of this increase in the karves and in the stroke, this phrase is 12 beats if played in Chatusram. Once again, we're playing it in Tisram though, because the first time we played Chatusram, the next time Kandam, so this time we're playing it in Tisram because it's a Trikala Korve. So a 12 beat stroke in Chatusram turns out to be 8 beats in Tisram. So there you have it, the 3 sectors of the Purvangam. There's 3 sectors and each is 8 beats. So thus the Purvangam has a length of 24 beats. So now we will move on to the Uttarangam, which is very similar in the structure of the pattern. The first part is Chatusram, and it is said as such: Taga, di, ki, taga, dom, ta, ti, kita, tom, tam. And by the way, that the karve with the taga, ga, di, yi, ki, yi, taga, ga, dom, that's 5 karves in between. So that phrase I just said is 8 beats. It's very similar to the Purvangam, like I said before. So 8 beats. Next, the Kandam that we play is this. I'll say it in Chatusram first. Ta ga di ki yi ta ga dom gom ta ti kita dom ta ti kita dom tam. So we added another 7. We added a ta ti kita dom from the previous one, and because we did that, the stroke instead of 8 beats is now 10 beats if played in Chatusram. And as we've done before, we're playing this in Kandam, so a 10 beat stroke in Chatusram will translate to an 8 beat stroke in Chatusram. And lastly, the third section of the Uttarangam, which we play in Tisram in the Korve, but I will say in Chatusram now. Ta ga di ki di ta ga ga dom ta ti kita dom ta ti kita dom ta ti kita dom tam. So building upon the same pattern that we used before, we're adding yet another tati kirtadam. So now there is 3 tati kirtadams, and the stroke is 12 beats when played in Chatusram, but we are playing it in Tisram in the Korve, so a 12 beat stroke in Chatusram will amount to 8 beats in Tisram. So again, just like the Purvangam now, in the Uttarangam we have 3 sectors, each in different nades, and we've managed to, by using different nades, equalize the 3 strokes, even though they're different strokes, by equalizing the strokes to all make them 8 beats. So then 8 times 3, 24 beats. So the Purvangam's 24 beats, the Uttarangam's 24 beats. Therefore, the entire Korve has a value of 48 beats per rotation of the Korve. And now, because so this Korve will come to 3 cycles or 3 ardhanams in Ratakale Aditalam, because 48 divided by 16 is 3. And also, this Korve, since it's 48 beats, can also be played in Rupakatalam from Samam to Samam, because 48 is evenly divisible by 3. And see, this is why it's so important to go through this mathematical derivation, because it's so important to know the lengths of these Korves, the lengths of the Purvangam, the lengths of the Uttarangam, because now we know that this Korve is 48 beats, so we can apply it to other talams. Instead of just using this Korve for Adi Talam for what it was meant for, we can apply it for Rupka Talam. And I bet if you thought about it enough, you could come up with like 10, 15 different talams with different edams, different edipas that you could play this Korve for that would sound good. So that's why it's so important to go through this mathematical derivation. Anyway, so now let me play this Korve for you so you can get a feel for what it sounds like. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. slip up there, but you get the idea, hopefully. So there's the korve, and there's one more thing I want to talk about with this korve, and it's something called os, and I'm sure many of you have heard of this. Os is basically like giving a glimpse into what you're going to play in the korve before you actually play the korve, in the lead up to the korve. So like you're playing nares, like takata dim dim dom tatin dim tatin, or whatever you're playing, whatever it happens to be, and then you play the stroke, whichever stroke you might be leading up to in whatever pattern you're going to play. So this works very well for this korve. And the three sectors I mentioned, the three sectors of the puranga that we were analyzing, these are the strokes which you should use when playing this os, giving the glimpse into the korve for your audience. And these three sectors will all be played in chatusram when you're giving os. So this is what this sounds like. I'm gonna just give you an example of that. So 1, and another thing, since these strokes in chatusram, like we talked about, they all have different measures because we're not playing the different nares to compensate for the longer strokes. So you have to know where to start. So the first stroke will be 8 beats. The first stroke tati kita taka din tam tati kita tam will be 8 beats. The khandam stroke tati kita taka din tam tati kita tam tati kita tam tati kita tam will be 10 beats. And lastly, the tisram tati kita tati taka din tam tati kita taga tati kita taga tati kita tam will be 12 beats. So you have to, based on how long those strokes are, you have to start at different places. For example, the chatusram, since it's 8 beats, you start right at the first tap halfway through the cycle. The khandam, you will start 2 beats before that on the middle finger. And then lastly, the tisram, you'll start at 2 beats before that on the ring finger. So here's what this sounds like, the os. I'll play that for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after playing that, you play the korve. So that's just like a little technique that you use. You can use it in any korve you play or any pattern you play. It's a very widely used technique. So thank you for listening today to the official Mridangam podcast. And I hope you tune in next week for a new episode as well as every week. Thank you and good luck with your Mridangam.